More often than not, women in games are represented as the princess who needs saving type. We're all very familiar with this concept: saving the princess, getting the girl, and even the sexualization of females in video games. But that's kind of old news, isn't it? There are plenty of games where the player character is a woman, from badass ones like in Horizon Zero Dawn, to the silent and strong type like in Portal, and even the more nerdy characters like in Life is Strange. Games have come a long way since the beginning, right? I mean, even Princess Peach and Zelda have their own games where they're the heroes of their stories now. But these games still fail to recognize the major aspect of the issue of female characters as secondary. Take Super Mario, for example. Princess Peach is always the victim in the story, that's obvious, but what's a little less obvious is the fact that she's nothing more than a tool for Mario. Peach is a means to his end. She is the reason why he goes on his journey in the first place. And she's not the only one. Everywhere you can see female characters, even if they're placed more prominently in the story, they're being used simply as narrative tools, as means to an end. Even in games that are arguably better with their inclusion are falling prey to this trap. Take The Last of Us. Ellie travels with Joel to try and find a cure, but Ellie is the tool pushing Joel to keep moving forward in the game. She is his means to an end. In Life is Strange, well, yes, they have a large assortment of female characters, but they too use characters like Chloe as a means to push the protagonist forward. When have you seen a game where you have to save the prince? Where the male character is used as a means to an end, as a tool to push the protagonist forward? I can name one, and it, in my opinion, spins this precedent on its head. That game is called Transistor by Supergiant Games. In it, the protagonist, Red, travels across the city of Cloudbank in search of a way to restore her lost voice. During her journey, she carries the titular weapon, the Transistor. Now, I'm going to try not to spoil as much as I can, since it is an incredible game, but this sword, the Transistor, holds the trace or memory of a man who sacrificed himself to save Red at the beginning of the game, and it is his voice heard through the Transistor which serves as our narrator throughout the game. The Transistor and the abilities and sacrifice of the man trapped inside it is the tool Red uses to push forward. He is her means to an end. Unlike many other games, Transistor uses a male character as the literal tool in which the protagonist utilizes to push the story forward. This idea that female characters are being used as only tools in games isn't entirely new, as it can be seen as another form of objectification, but rather than delve into the consequences of continuing to use female characters as simple narrative tools, more time is spent exploring and discussing the sexualized nature of female characters and their more common secondary roles. I argue that more games should reverse the standard of female characters as narrative tools, and recommend more consideration be placed towards the impacts of using female characters as tools in video games, and as simply means to an end. The more often female characters are objectified as narrative devices to push protagonists onwards, whether those protagonists be male or female, the more ingrained the idea of female characters as objects, as nothing but a device in which to progress, will become. So, the next time you're playing a game or developing one of your own, consider whether your means to an end is putting the objectification of women to an end or simply acting as its means.